So then, has the South African government done enough to protect workers since the COVID-19 lockdown last year? Let's get the take from Cosatu's General Secretary, Bheki Ntshalintshali, who's joining us by Zoom tonight. Mr. Ntshalintshali, always good to have your company. Let's start with that very question. Do you think that your tripartite alliance partner, the ANC, which is in government, has done enough to protect workers during the pandemic?
I think they did try, but not enough, as workers has been complaining bitterly in terms of government overseeing that the health and safety precaution are being enforced by employers. As you may recall, that during the pandemic, there were some surveys that were indicating that only about 40% of employers were complying with health and safety precaution, and the government supervisory system of the inspectors were able to bring those that are guilty to books and to supervise that everybody was implementing and complying with the protocol. So to answer your question, the answer is no, it was not enough.
Listening to your President Zingiswalosi speaking today, she speaks of a more militant position if government undermines collective bargaining and multi-year agreements, but that's already happened, according to some of your member unions who say the failure to stick to the 2018 agreement that's currently on its way to the Constitutional Court is precisely that, a defiance of a multi-year agreement. Yet you sat today as Cosatu's leadership with Ramaphosa in the room as he made that commitment. Why should anyone believe him or you?
When struggling, our understanding is that when struggling, we don't take just for a word of mouth. We'll only say what he committed to when the government deliver in the commitment to the collective bargaining. The mere fact that government signed this agreement on a daylight, being soberly, and a few years later, or implemented halfway, and on the last leg, they came out and come up with an excuses, suggests to workers that don't believe what government says.
Mr. Ntshalintshali, I'm jumping in.
It is in that context that we have taken a multi...
Okay,
yes.
Sorry, sir. I cut you off there because we're losing our link to you, but I think it's back now. Please continue making your point.
The point where I was making, Timothy, was that we don't believe what people say when they are addressing and negotiating in media. What we believe is when government, in signing that particular commitment and its implementation, that's why we're taking a multi-pronged approach. We're going to go to court to reverse that judgment because we think is a defaulted judgment. But we're going to call government, and the president has committed this morning that they are going to go back to the bargaining chamber. We appreciate that one.
But go back.
But we're also saying we're mobilizing our members. We need to hold our power and go to the street in case that is not implemented. So we're mobilizing our members, and until such time that there's an agreement and the agreement is being implemented, we do not just believe the word of mouth.
Go back to the chamber and negotiate to what extent, I wonder, because in the 2021-2022 discussions going on currently, there's already been a deadlock declared by the PSA, for example, because unions want increases of between 5% and 7%, government saying it cannot afford to pay any kind of increase. So what's the point of going back to the drawing book?
The point for the Federation is not about the current negotiations. The public sector, like any other employer, has to engage in the negotiations for the years to come. But what we don't accept is when an agreement is being reached, as being signed, and one party unilaterally withdraw from that agreement because it set a bad precedent. That's what Cosatu is saying, that there will be no point in negotiations the years to come when you have not resolved Resolution 1 of 2018. So our starting point is that government must implement what was agreed in 2018 so that it can set a conducive environment for engagement and moving forward. Because it does not make any sense to say you can negotiate with this government whom we no longer trust in to wage negotiations, sign an agreement. For us, is to go back to the basic, go back to the Resolution 1 of 2018, implement it. It is only then that when that is implemented, it will give confidence to the commitment that the President made this morning.
Well, and we're still battling currently with your our link to you, and I think we lost your picture as well, but we have you back. But I want to persevere just a while longer, Mr. Ntshalintshali, and ask you on that note. So the 2018 agreement is now a legal battle between yourselves. There's an ongoing standoff currently between unions over 2021-2022 possible wage increases. Yet Cosatu has already said that it'll stand by the ANC in the run-up to the local government elections. Why should workers, who will likely not receive any increase from the ANC-led government, support it at the ballot?
Workers, as Cosatu, as they told us that they are transformative trade unions, they know that the issues of wages is a struggle that they need to continue engaging on. And they were using the basis of supporting the ANC in comparison to the other political parties whose manifesto clearly indicate that they will be worse than the ANC should they come to power. They will privatize, they were going to take away the workers' right. In doing the comparison, workers come to the conclusion that we will stick with the ANC, but it's not a blank check. That's why we're preparing for the strike. And we said, by the time we go to the local government election, if this matter is not resolved, it might happen that during the voting itself, workers in the public sector will go on strike. That's what government has to consider seriously, whether they can afford to have the public sector, or not even the public sector, all workers belonging to Cosatu to go on strike during the election. And I think that is not just a mere threat, it's a reality, and I think the President and the ANC fully understand the implication of that one. That's why we're mobilizing our members that we cannot allow government to negate on any collective agreement. This is a different issue altogether. Government may have done some other issues, good issues in terms of other legislation. But when it comes to the bread and butter issues coming to the collective bargaining, government here is an employer, and we're going to treat the government like any other employer, and we're going to use our constitutional right, and we're going to hold our power until government agreed to implement that particular leg of that 2018.
Okay, we've lost that line to Bheki Ntshalintshali again from Cosatu. Let's park that interview for now because we're simply not going to win with that internet connection for now.